and gentlemen, welcome to the Laughing Goat, where we're having a poetry reading as we do every week. And we have two featured poets tonight, Reed Pye and Jim Cohn. And they'll be going on at approximately 9 and 9:30. And between the two of them, they have about 25 books of poetry out, or 18 or something. And so we're going to have an open reading for the next hour. Okay, we have some guests from out of town too tonight, so we'll get started right away. Next we have our first performer tonight, Nicole, who's never read here before at the Laughing Goat. So for the first time ever at the Laughing Goat, let's have a thunderous welcome for Nicole.
It's okay. Shh. It's okay, it's okay. There are some things you can't understand at your age. At your age, it's okay you don't know what it means. At your age, it's okay you don't know not to change the name of the girl in your script to someone you haven't slept with behind my back. I forgot not to give you my key to let you in to immortalize her in a film squeezing milk from her tits at your age. How could you know, at your age, that I wouldn't want to chat with you, let alone pay to see the concert of the girl you were fucking for drugs while I was pregnant with your baby? At your age, how could you know I'd expect you to never see them, never speak to them, never mention their names ever again at your age? At my age? Oh, I want to see you the day after you party all night with the boys and don't remember what you did. I can't wait to see the pictures of your life-changing trip to Peru taken by your best friend's girlfriend's hot friend who speaks 4 languages and is just along for the ride. It's okay at your age because you're easily confused, tested, tempted, and I know what that's like at your age. It's okay because your intention was never to hurt anyone, and at your age, intention still means something. It's okay, though it has to be. It's okay because at your age, you're as tight and smooth as a milk-white blister. Your lips are plucked fresh from the garden. It's okay because you dust me head to toe like the softest feather mop and have time to kiss all my freckles, write me love songs, and call 20 times a day. And I can't remember when I had time to do that. Not since I was your age. It's okay because 2,000 miles and 4,000 days are all that separate us. And we can still say I love you, baby, in perfect unison. And that's all that matters, right? Yeah! When did this happen? Mom did it. She loves to cut things now. It's been laying there like that for months, my brother laughs. The tree I passed by every day on the path to Marcy's house, hid behind to surprise her in the evening, climbed like a mast to sail to the Lewis ferry crossing in Neverland. How could you? I was afraid of it, she said, and she had it cut down just like that. When a tree's cut after 200 years, laying in the neighbor's yard like a dinosaur on its side, belly weighted to the left, no wish for an early death, the tan, juicy circles exposed, evidence of murder, someone better have some answers. How could you? It was too close to the house, she said. At any moment, it could come crashing into the bedroom. The next thunderstorm could be the end of the forsythia bush. The leaves could awaken her in the middle of the night. Finally, my mother taught me a lesson. Kill what you're afraid of. Cut it off, branch by branch, slaughter it at the base. Let it plummet, make a dent in the earth, let its depth cross boundaries, and cut it into pieces so it's easier for the professionals to remove. Know that it may have to sit there for a few months, a viewing for mourners, or until the weather's more agreeable. My uncle says the roots of a tree grow far out as the branches. I wonder what kind of hole I'll find when she realizes she's afraid of roots, too. Nice.
Let's have a thunderous welcome for Dylan Hawk. All the way from the state of Michigan, Dylan Hawk.
Hello. Hello. I'm going to read this, well, I didn't realize we were going to have 3 minutes tonight, so I'm going to have to read fast, but I've got a short section from a novel I'm working on here, and that's it. All right. I could still feel the whiskey's sting on my tongue and at the back of my throat. My stomach bled a warm sponge of heat that emanated into my hands, feet, and head. It hit me like smelling salts, and I reeled a bit, wishing I could get one more taste from that bottle. "How's your head, love?" Gert said, shifting her attention. "Tight," I said, unsure of the Boschian portrait thriving before me. "A condom full of black beetles," Mel cut in with a rather harsh, guttural tone. "Glazed! Behold the upturned nipple!" he yelled, standing suddenly and motioning over the water like a game show model. He spit pound like obscenities and grew a ragged look in his eyes that made me think of Mussolini by his ankles. "Go off with your rocker somewhere else," Fritz huffed, without turning to face anyone. "The goddamn world's become one large cesspool, and Melvin feels compelled to quote us the coarser lines from Pound," he added, turning to me as if lending introductions. "Maybe some E.E. Cummings jokes would be more to your humor," he said, with a stern sarcasm to Mel. "Damn right," Mel quipped. "I'll never live in the crocodile's belly for the benefit of you. You've grown to be quite a tit, however." Fritz turned to me and said, "He's never published a book in his life, and here he lives as if his blood were a swift stanza. Bully on that, it's all out of rot." Mel, Gert jumped in, "For land's sake, give it a rest. None of us are getting anywhere from all your hot air. This isn't a sailboat. Be off with it." "I've got no place to go, and I'll damn well do what I please," he said in a defiance underlined by his sudden launch to his feet. Mr. Tough Stuff sat watching it all, silently pulling at his beard. "Where are we?" I asked suddenly, and the four of them gave pause and sat silent for a moment. "Where are we?" Mel asked with an ample sarcasm. "We're here, in this lot, waiting as usual." I didn't understand. I needed more details. It was as if I woke in a trashed bit of Beckett. "Where?" I said. "Waiting." Mr. Tough Stuff gave a final tug off the chin of his beard and looked hard into my eyes. "He doesn't remember," Gert said. "He doesn't know." Silence fell over the group again like a late frost, and Fritz turned to huddle in with the rest of them. They seemed to chatter and motion with their hands, something about me, I presume, as each one of them would periodically cast a look my way, while someone else was jabbering quickly under their breath. Finally, they all turned to face me, and their faces were pale as playing possum. I almost said opossum. They sat looking at me like royalty in a deck of playing cards, flat and motionless, thin, slit mouths. "Tell him," Mill said, looking at each of them. "It's like this," he said, and the days began to pass. There was never any telling how much time had gone by. Some time, to say the least. We drifted, wondering, hoping, waiting to find a bit of land, a strange voice, our lives. It was a pendulum of consciousness staring at the sky. We went, at minimum, some time without water. Every bit of it around us, except what fell from the sky, was salted. Even the rainwater that built up in the bottom of the boat was tainted by the splashing waves. We were better off drinking our own blood. "I saw a survival show," Mel said, "on television once that showed you how to put a tarp over the boat and poke a hole in it for drinkable rainwater." "Nice, but we don't have a tarp," Gert said. "We don't have anything. If I take out my buns, I can suck my own hair, I guess." "We have our clothes," Tough Stuff offered. "Take your shirts off and tie them around your head. We can wear them until they're wet enough to squeeze a pint." "It's worth a try," Mel said, taking off his. "It leaves us more open to the elements, but so far the sky has been nothing but a thick layer of shit anyway." It was true, our only light had been the flashing lightning that snaked the underbelly of the sky. A wet t-shirt in the dark doesn't help anyone stay warm. "What about you, Gert?" Scotty said. "Oh shit, that's a mistake. That should be Fritz." "What about you, Gert?" Fritz said, actually turning to face us. You can never tell if he was listening. "Oh, I can just wring a bit from the lower hems of my dress. I'll be fine." "Indeed," he quipped, already turning back to the horizon in his wasted life. "Quite good." Looking through the waves of history, it was easy to see that Earth had always been changing. A trust in faith and a blindness in science cut short the chord of possibilities and left the general public with either a new ice age, the polar caps melting, World War III and nuclear fallout, or the depletion of the ozone. None looked for the possibilities of new mysteries within the evolving planet, of the ever-changing cosmos that bred a chaotic naivety. For eons, Earth's continents have moved and floated over the oceans, freezing and crashing. Eruptions grew deep in folds and cracks and brought forth mountains. Valleys ensued, islands sprung up everywhere. Who knows how long the change had been in motion? So many assumed the global ice caps finally melted and the water simply had nowhere to go. There was very little time to wonder about it in the end. What was certain, as far as speculation can be certain, was the sense of the mildest spring in your step, as if the world became lighter, or gravity released a small amount of its pressure. It permeated further than anyone could have imagined. There was happiness everywhere you looked. Joy seemed to spread across the globe. Everyone felt like running barefoot across the grass and dancing. World peace, for the first time ever, seemed, if not possible, a rational expectation. It sprung up in minutes and was gone within hours. But what no one knew, what not a single specialist brought to mass attention, was that in fact the ground was actually softening, becoming spongy and viscous. Earthworms appeared everywhere. No one knew what to make of it. An old woman chanted prayer on a street corner, wrinkled in green rayon, watching the sky for frogs. Whatever happened, as little is and was known, even as the smiles remained and mud began to rear its pasty head. No one dreamt for a moment the possibilities of what was in store for them. No one had ever heard of, let alone thought possible, the water. It was staggering. I thought about my mother, my father, Jesus, the world, all gone. Thanks.
Her sister's visiting from out of town, so let's have a thunderous welcome for Leslie.
Ordinary is how it began. My lids screwed on like caps on soda bottles, holding tight the pressure within. I woke to a door opening, my sister pressing the dust from the blinds, and I groaned when the garbage truck arrived to pluck my beer bottles and cans from the curb where I put them before bed. I unscrewed sight to sound. The residue of alcohol and caffeine fizzled out, ran down, recycled by the garbage man. It was ordinary how it began, and I was hungry, so I ate breakfast in Netherlands, and the woman talked and talked and talked about massaging her Buddha and told a stranger she was retaining too much water in her face. And it was so ordinary how nauseous I felt, listening as I once listened in my grandmother's kitchen to everything come in, go out. Another ordinary day piling up in the sink like dishes dirtied by disbelief. I thought about Virginia, about how quiet it can be on the porch when you peel apples on a Sunday evening. Grandma biting her lips, Mama gossiping in the kitchen, Aunt Bertha nagging the children. I sat and listened until there was no more coffee in my cup, and the crazy woman left with the nausea. I didn't want to leave the hush, no television, no wireless wires trading headlines for cash. And everything felt so ordinary until I hit Boulder, and the wires plugged into air. The news came in a flash like the stoplight on 20th. It changes green to yellow to red when it senses motion should go, and it knows when motion should cease. As the headlines ran, repeating and increasing and numbing like a disease, I biked home to pull the bins off the street. Because ordinary is how it began, and ordinary is how I need it to end. Thanks.
Yeah, our featured performer 2 weeks ago, Tyler Burba, couldn't make it because he was flying out from New York and his mom had a heart attack and she died last week. And so some of you guys know Tyler, and if you do or don't, maybe you could think of his mom in your prayers or something. She was only 62, so they buried her up in Seattle the other day. So next we have Leslie's sister Jane, who's also visiting from Virginia. Let's have a thunderous welcome for Jane, reading here at the Laughing Goat for the first time.
As the hour of reason grows, I don't want to tell you how it works, how the mind pulls things apart, the way an orange, when peeled, will share from itself because it has to, because it's designed to. The way when the mind too begins to open, it sharpens out lines, making things exist alone in part and form to exist at all. About the way we learn to apprehend those elements, about those necessary departures, those divisions, I don't know what to say. Rather, understand how, when small, my body used to bend towards my father's as I nestled beside him in his armchair, slumping deep down into those summer evenings. Upward I'd stare, long and hard, at the motion of our ceiling fan, falling absorbed into its cycles and engaging myself in my entrancing catch-a-blade with my eyes game, often focusing well enough to penetrate the fan's spinning blur of whiteness, to discern a single whirling blade. I could follow it around and around for 6 or 7 or even 8 seconds on high, when the fastest speed the fan could spin, sharpening that white blade out of its shared motion. Counting each second, my mind could stave off the slipping back of the whirling piece into its swift and tight blurry hole. I did it again and again to slow down, to catch what I knew had to happen. My mother's voice calling out from the kitchen, "Go on, hurry up to bed, I'll be there in a minute." And then the slight nudge from my father, and then the scuffing of my own feet across our wood floor.
Next we have CK, a really good guy, Naropa student. Let's have a nice warm welcome for Mr. CK Dexter Haven.
Hello. I have two of them. The first one is called Nothing is Rash is a Love Poem. Milkshake maker breaks. Time wasted, redefined by beams politically heavy. Compartmentalize the decompression that spills lungs into moon craters. Ink blot spit lips of happy child smile, laughs that fumble into hallway. And still, the heart is a stupid thing to write about. Schoolboy ramblings, deftly hitting spent fans, missing pencil lead is love poetry. Memories with flawed origins, but no, it wasn't deprivation. No, it was new, but it came waved in by air traffic controllers. Dials turned rustic, shapes gathered upon fabric with hands moving up thighs. Bias is the most natural problems in relationships today. And am not a magician, do not reveal magic. Am bricklayers, contract killers, fight against stagnated imaginations, the reserved water, and we shall not write any more love poems. There is one dryer, and it spins clothes, defeats wet centers, insecurities unsoaked. Also, contention states, no sight is sight of the best kind. Lost legs point the same way, country to country, directly, the edge, recompensing solitude of tired artists and failed writers, which I am. I'm asleep with no sleep, the task, redeeming existence and consciousness, solving the algebra, letting eyes stare madly at pools of water outside this window, occasionally spiraling out. Thanks.
So next we have Carlin. That was CK. Next we have Carlin, who's also never read here before. Let's have a nice warm welcome for Carlin.
And this is called Grateful. I bitched again about the socks on the floor, dishes in the sink, unwiped toilet, and loads of laundry in need of fold. I call it inconsideration from up on my pedestal where I judge you. Before crying myself silently to sleep, truly wanting you to sink your teeth into my thighs, wish for blush into my cheeks, bend me in positions I want to be in but would never ask. I have spent twice as many hours wishing you would be that guy instead of you because you don't give what I expect. And I have read one too many books on this, and none of them had happy endings. So I can play martyr, play easy to get, play like I don't want sex, surrender and play vixen, tossed and sweaty beneath your weight, hating the emptiness at the other end. You once said, don't expect me to have the answers. You need your own manual that I can read to know what the right thing is to say. I laughed, because I knew I was difficult, stubborn, demanding, maybe a bit too dramatic. But the truth is, I need heat, and not the heat that ignites the passion. I need the all-out, sound-slamming, star-exploding, mess-making connection that feeds off the flesh and knocks the spirit through the headboard. You need to wince at the thought of my distance and wake only when my presence calls, and yet, the house stays messy, nothing changes, and those fucking socks stay inches from the basket.
Well, let's have a nice warm welcome for Holly. Let's hear it for Holly, who's never read here before.
I've never done this before either, but I really like this little cafe, and I came here a few weeks ago to hear some music that some friends of my son sang. And my son passed away 4 months ago here in Boulder. He was a student here, a student of fine arts. And it's, there's something that draws me to come and be around young people. He did something very stupid and drank a lot of alcohol and took another drug with it, and it killed him. Here's something I want to read to you. I came here with another poem to read just because I wanted to read a poem, and I had no intention of doing what I'm doing right now. But when I sat down over there, I was sitting and just looking around the place, and this is what I wrote. Music loud, she sits where her son should be, among his kind. Young blood in Boulder, laughing and studying for a future life yet unknown, the world before them. She sits remembering those college days herself. Now that world behind, and she stands at the end of the pier in the Laughing Goat Cafe, where as far as she can see is ocean and the horizon, nowhere else to go but here and be, nowhere else to go. But someday perhaps she'll meet her son on some distant shore where the body and mind yearns no more.
Well, that's so sad. Maybe we could have a moment of silence for Austin Myers. Such a sad thing. So next, before you go on, Michael, Brooke's going to read one. Brooke came all the way from Austin, Texas. Let's have a nice warm welcome for Brooke.
The Wanted One. When the scar at his side opens, she slips past the flush entrance to build a nest that cannot be shaken or ripped by wake of wind. He keeps craving a bird who cannot depart, this missing rib star to curl a girl inside like a scroll for confession. He must take possession. She says, "What good is a man who is no shelter?" He says, "What good is a woman who cannot be kept?" Locked inside the curse of this thirst, there must be a cure to soothe the gaping wound that swoons for the same twisted tryst. He says, to know her is to own her, and I do. She says, I am no fool. To love is to be ruled. His music takes over like a flood. By force, she alters her voice to angelic imitation. She reads all his books to know what to believe. She forgets her friends to receive his as her own. She sews a new dress to wear all his opinions until there is nothing left of the original image. If she loved her head shaved, now she wears braids. If she loved to go dancing, now she stays in. If she laughed too loudly, now she's softened, serene. If she was gentle before, now she's hardening. If she loved her racy heels, now it's black city boots. If she once sang the songs, now she is just the muse. She is her own forbidden fruit. She is becoming a woman like her God, who will despise her as soon as she becomes exactly what he wants. She will do anything to be found beautiful. He will do anything to keep his kingdom hard and cool. She says, there is no difference between his voice and mine. Rehearsing the curse, she is hypnotized. When it rains, am I not the rain? When he bleeds, am I not the blood trickling down? When he speaks, am I not the word turning tricks on the tongue? All my life, I only wanted to be the wanted one. Thank you.
Our first poet, Reed Pye, who's a great writer and a really good guy. He's on the faculty at Naropa University, and he has a PhD from the University of Colorado. He's lived in Boulder since the 60s, and he's author of Some Magic at the Dump, Erstwhile Charms, Heart's Bestiary. Hey Eric, we got so we're just, and then we have Passing Freaks and Graces, Join the Planets are just some of his books. Join the Planets is available at the Beat Bookshop, and he's tied with Jim for being one of our best-selling authors online at the Beat Bookshop. Jim's book, Sign Mine and Join the Planets, we've had 3 orders for both of them in the last few months, and that's really a big deal in our small store. He sings his country and western poems on the CD Long Way Around with Tyler Burba arranging all the music. It's a Farfalla Press CD. And he was in a movie with William Burroughs and Allen Ginsberg and some other people called Don't Pay to Be an Honest Citizen, that was completely unavailable until right now, which it's out on DVD. And he was in another video with Douglas Dunn dancers called The Secret of the Television Waterfall, or The Secret of the New Television Waterfall. So let's have a thunderous welcome for our first featured performer tonight, Mr. Reed By.
I think I'll read a few new poems first. Newer poems, anyway. Hyatt Regency. Here in the hotel, 28th floor, a wild photo of a cloudy sky. You can look either at or through it, into the space surrounding, where wisps of vapor twist and twirl. The senses sail, losing touch. There's no port out here. A hum is possible, or perhaps not. Can't make it out. You still there? Okay, then I am here, but not for long. And this is a villanelle. This is a poem written with a repeating, woven set of end rhymes. The look of things lies in looking at them, and looking at is really looking in, when looking in goes out through vision's stem. There is a garment, on its underside a hem, in summer when days are wearing thin. The look of things lies in looking at them. A thought is like a flicker in a gem, and something like a donkey's tail pinned, when looking in goes out through vision's stem. When branch ends lightly tremble in the wind, words are born somewhere beneath the skin. The look of things lies in looking at them. You can't translate the messages they send. It's funny how things end as they begin, when looking in goes out through vision's stem. And this is called a joyful strain, a wince of pain for Meme Bersenbrugge. There, as she plays her stringed instrument, whose sounding box is my mood, spiccato, adagio e presto, smile and sigh and lift the eye, who wasn't once in partial place looking back on rain and shadow. Eyes, curious shed of notes, dropped upon a lotus seat, gathering rays to comb back out as morning practice. I'm not sure these new poems are really ready to read. Anyway, this is a good way to find out. So thank you. Poetic fact really means laying profoundly difficult symbols and rhythm patterns. For readers who sit 19 years to ask a yellow fan if it can still straightforwardly through trivia games, etc., play. The Sunday chronologist ushers in Earth Sunday, 4004 BC. 13 million truths fit the discourse of pronunciation. They should have moved Andreas's volumes from the dock to pack mules for expanded distribution. What the now world sees only through diagrams, the before world only heard in nature, a 72 in anatomy. What's my vision doing, stenciling evidence of minor dislocations on these knee walls? From the great and lucid Greek world of 450 BC to Lord and Lady Chervil by the lily and the foxglove, Latin's now unrecognizable symbolic ground irks these Lilliputian mists. Amnesia's fertile ground hung with wild roots among the asphodel and Anglo-Norman copy center. The center's new manuals translate religion into weaponry and language into human flesh upon our plates. The magnifying glass zooms in on tails wriggling in transparent sauce. Since yesterday was seen like this, it's gone another way. This is the last section of a longer sort of dream journal work called The Advantage of Orienting Generalizations. Coming, you ascend from a valley. The town square begins with the public library on the right and the Presbyterian church with its famed oak tree on the left. 2 blocks away, a barber shop and a coffee shop and an old inn with a tap room below the street mark the other corners of the quadrangle of the village proper, which does indeed sit upon a geological ridge and bask. Ancient church, desanctified and already the caretakers sour, the chairs removed, the 5-man band attempting Hey Joe at the altar. Something's lost, the sanctified spirit. What's gained? Some falling over postures. Before credit cards, some people had charge accounts, but let's not reduce history to a stack of bills. My concupiscence is your telepathy. To be one at all has financial implications. What is ease exactly? Alone in Patagonia, a gaucho squints into the sun. We have relinquished the donkey and now have this ambulance. Assume accountability, eat dust. Refuse accountability, let them eat dust. Too much on the griddle, short order and long range, splash and flap, on course, off base, get caught, a beautiful equipoise. A home is a blissful decor inhabited by cheese. Oars placed along the lower borders hold warmth and draw toward, cover mountain, place golden scrim over retinas, then melt and enter the nose. Her eyes, the closed-in place where towels dry. In this corner, the hamper strewn with underwear, the other end of human day. Between rumpled bedclothes, the layered readings, not done with, but unable to keep their prominence against the entropy where paper and bedclothes merge, the future. Everything runs together, the saints and buffalo, castaneda, polydent, and touch shore with a blunt. The infomercial is a poetically neglected genre. Keep your cap down, lift your eyes up, and get out of the swamp. Go north, past loneliness, then keep going where you will be born. International Festival of Specified Arts rollicking in Bandarabas, second-tier circus performers and magicians from Egypt and Eastern Europe, to bed with a fever, rolled over in 3 settings all night. Smoking car tires in the manor on the hill, at the dance between thought and space, thoughts follow. They came home and soon were fine. Approval rating in the 30s, accept rejection, intruder with the confidence of a maternal grandmother. Been there, isosceles triangle, survey, catch, lay by. Not a concern for one with no doubt. Can you distill the difference into a bargain for my side? The garden fell into the attic. That was Carrie Joe as ringmaster. A long look back and then downstream. It won't all fit on the head of a spoon. C'est la vie. The minister, in disguise, the apartment manager, and I were talking in the basement corridor. The manager allowed how it was a good thing the recently disgraced minister had been brought low, and that now the air could clear for a new start. The minister, innocent of all charges and merely the victim of current sympathies, had to stand and listen without defending himself. He remembered his disguise. He still has work to do and needs to stay above such woundings in order to continue and so allow truth to come out later, if it will. I remember the breasts on the woman making her entrance, but the rest is dark, and the words have dissolved in pain's common denominator. In the front, a tall aspen. Can claritas develop without enargaia? Not with wings. I was in power and proud of the lineup. Someone and his wife ran all the way around the sink and down into the drain. A view of blue objects can still be seen settled in there. Ethical sorting is admirable and heart-deep, and I think over time it will become a more flexible code, understanding that loyalty and ethics are sometimes at odds. At those times, the human engagement is highlighted, uneasy surprise, resistance to a force threatening to tear, rip, or rend. Tarred grandeur, where the great notions come from, e.g. the world's grandeur, the world's tarred grandeur. Where is the lighthouse? Can you take me there? Who is Alfred, king of the snakes? Who is Rayanne, the goat girl? In what lively realm does their longing preside in a one-note horn? Who enjoys the enveloping scent and will scatter the little seeds? Come and say. Here's the joke, right on the cover all the time, dream journal. Time spent when the most outrageous dream was the real one. Deranged sequence of presupposed footprints found somewhere in the shaft of an echo of laughter. Somebody said it best in a short paragraph. When holding the reins, I don't particularly need every one of your thinkings to guide me. And what is the work? Going back and forth to get things straight. Administering to tripods with missing legs. Who developed the wing, and where are they now that we need them?
She looks like a dry.
Thank you. Okay, I'll read a few other. This is called Brocade Stirrups. It was written in Boulder many years ago. Brocade stirrups through the town, windows, bright concrete, a high-pressure sun. The word flight has a new meaning, and it's something you're in. You have your arms around, crossing a street like 28th, rubber tires turning with a papery whiz, deliberately flying low. Someone goes by who knows you, but you don't know their car. Someone wonders about you. You're a local, like the husk of an old vegetable letting out seeds in a swale, skimming down from the piston of rock in your mind, the full moon building blocks of false tobacco lung. You want to try to be a house whose rooms are inspirations. Something better than history grows there, a line of pots on the ironing board, sunlight, the motion of disease is there, only its healthy, translucent muscles that move the clear substance through the beaded door around the house into vapor. It's damp. A moving van menaces on the block, but you're safe in this drumming light. This is another dream poem. I think it's clear what it's about. Blue eyes. The dawn is coming, whose whole motion, surging slowly out of night, is to disclose, to heal, to present the light which cauterizes these openings between my body and the world. The sun at 6 o'clock is seeping milk-like in the yard. The burden I wake with is plain pain. I attribute to Frank Sinatra, who in the dream my wife couldn't help moving toward. I was pouting, feeling uncomfortable, angry, resentful. The story, taking place in a small Italian town, was more interesting. Frank seemed lost but soulful, not coy. I didn't really get the glamour, but on the other hand, I did. Anyway, in the finale, Ella Fitzgerald joins him on the stage of the small Rococo theater and calls up my wife, who is, she says, the most beautiful man she has ever seen. The three of them sing a song from a hayride in an old western, rocking with their arms around each other, and even the dawn can't close the wound I wake up clutching jealously. Perfect world. This world is perfect. The policies of every government are perfect. The right people die rich. The right people are born hungry and screaming. It's perfect. The right weather falls every day. You wake from just the right dream. When you leave, the house is left just the right way. It's perfect. This world is perfect. Everything perfectly reflecting itself. It could be different, but it would still be just so. Not quite all right, perhaps, but perfectly as it is. Perfectly awful. Perfectly dreadful. Perfectly marvelous. Perfectly well reflected there to here, this perfect world, just like that. Joy and trepidation. It was a Buick or a Volkswagen, let's say a Buick, and we were going down a mountain road after scouting out a camp location for the families of Family Camp. On the tape deck was Al Green from the past singing, I'm so tired of being alone, I'm so tired of being alone, won't you help me, girl, just as soon as you can. And Mindy and Betsy were moving and singing along in the front seat, and I was snapping my fingers in the back, dancing a little too, but scared because I was thinking, I might be in a funny position here, which I, in my life, have always watched out for, because who knows anything, being a guy in my position, the guy in the back seat with two women in the front seat, moving and dancing and singing without any warning. Mouse sleep. More sleep, more dream. Mouse sleep, not much, just a closed down jingle like a mouse might have for an encore. All's well and good night, small shuffle before hitting the hay behind black fiberboard to curl up for the night with her babes. Enough already, 0, I just called at midnight, a bit warmer, I suppose, in that tiny fold in the garage wall, Saturday, January 10th, 1997. Tomorrow, the longed-for Sunday, many miles away. Now, when architects and weavers dream, a pizza box leans its cardstock angled in the trash. You might find a greasy lick or two in there. What holds this realm together? Ah, some greasy cheese-caked cardstock. Cave in my sides, the mouse and her children are heaving in sleep. All right, everyone form a cave-like room or a skull idea of yourself, or else a thing that rises, changing shape in various discomforts, or in pleasure imagined as a throne, or in pleasure imagined as a throne room with weirdly torque-spined jelly thoughts inside. And down low, an inscrutable snout peering from the base of a canal. It's not a dream because the eyes go out, the ears and tongue go out, and room goes out to room, and each and only seem to be inside here, where I record responses, call for replays, contemplate the fallen idols of the field. That one, when was it taken out? I don't remember that one getting carried away. How is the work to be done when the room dissolves into the matrix of an unviewed life in dream? Bare memories, filmy now at best. Cave or skulls are not a room, though in dream you might have reservations. In dream you might have called ahead. Somewhere in time the field may have opened to a floodplain. And now there is a skull where a dishwasher should be, propped against a tree. Inside of it, the dream where you come tumbling out suddenly to my room, to the brides still waiting at the Slater playing through the wall. Exhaustion, a combination platter, mixed grill, an ensalada mista, a montage, a collage, or as the Buddha says, a heap, taken for ourselves and others before being removed from the game, blindfolded, walking slowly round this totally mazed grid of melons. Now, before I go to bed, I didn't know I had all these poems about going to bed and sleep and dreams. Now, before I go to bed and curl up and lay my head, I write a little poem here. A dog will bay, a horse will rear, a mom will stand, her arms akimbo. No one calls my mom a bimbo. On the whole, the world will rise and lift that lady with their eyes. The dog will bay, the horse will rear, and shadows in the sky will clear. A watered silk will drape her shoulder. Her son will push aside a boulder and come outside and take her hand and lead her to a nervous man. A wedding veil will drop its lace. Her husband's and her child's face will feel their features back in place, as if the sun had baked a pie and milk ducts opened in the sky. That will happen, says the song. All it says will not be wrong. Some of what it says will be. In the morning we shall see. Thank you very much.
We're going to send a fishbowl around the room in case any of you guys want to make a donation to our featured poets tonight. And next we have Jim Cohn, who's from the Museum of American Poetics, online at poetspath.com. He's the author of Prairie Falcon, The Dance of Yellow Lightning Over the Ridge, Kian Sabi Mountain from Museum of American Poetics books, Sign Line, which is a book about non-speaking, non-hearing poetics, which is really great, and Golden Body, which is another book about disability poetics. He's been the editor of Napalm Health Spa magazine since 1990. He has a bunch of poetry and music CDs out, all of which are available at the Beat Bookshop, Trash Talkin' Country and Tenai, Unspoken Words, Emergency Juke Joint, and a new one called Homage, or Homage. And he's a lefty and it's his birthday, so let's sing happy birthday to Jim. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jim. Happy birthday to you. Let's have a nice warm welcome for Jim Cohn.
The great magician. He found himself in a flop house, living out of an old suitcase, threadbare suit over hook and frame. His lama had told him to kill his enemies if he truly wanted the teachings, so he killed the enemies of his lama. Bring them back to life and I will give you instruction, the lama told him. What happened to him was hardly unusual. Still, it contains something deeper, more uncertain than what is known. He built mountain towers, only to return the stones to where he found them. Live one day in this manner, you awaken others for hundreds of years. Hometown visitation. The hills are very subtle here. The ground is very hard. The soil is very black. I'm driving past a bar where I burn so many brain cells. I think I see them in a pile, right off by the Budweiser sign. A pile of brain cells floating like fireflies dancing around with a rifle rack in the back. Now I'm heading for my father's grave, a very lonely, cold place, his spirit somewhere else. States and sex. States and sex, not one capable of making its experience that of the others. A credible global trust. I am speaking of mixed bodies, for states and sex are so to be regarded. I say that for them, these are wholesome changes. It is a very diverse collection, new and old, toying with allegiances, multiplying zero into millions of personalities, the whole process composed of hang-ups to clear up existing hang-ups. Name me the state that requires no maintenance, the sect that harbors no impetus. See how we continually burden them with extraneous activities, like conquering the universe. A bottle of wine for Janice. Excuse me. I just wanted to mention how the Columbianization of post-secondary education is quite disturbing. And my sympathies go out to the people in Virginia today. I walk into a corner liquor store. I think actually it was one on 30th Street in Arapahoe. Muddy Waters on the CD player. I asked the man behind the counter if he can help me buy a bottle of wine. I need a bottle of wine for my neighbor Janice, whose car I crashed into this morning. It'll go with the flowers in hand. While I'm in the liquor store, President Bush is giving a speech on why America has to stay in Iraq. The man leads me through the aisles. He finds me a perfect bottle for the occasion. Sometimes you don't see things coming. I never broadsided in another car before. I stood in the street in the morning, talking to Janice, our cars forming a T in the middle of the road. T. I think to myself, in the new morning light, maybe for teleportation, bodily transportation without cars. I should have just walked to work. There's a limit to military solutions. A president can easily become isolated. After the speech, I get out of my car, walk across the street to Janice's. She comes to the door in her pajamas. I give her white irises and a bottle of wine. I guess like read tonight, I'm just reading new poems, you know. I just felt it was an intimate gathering of folks. You know, I've read here for, I don't know, 15 years off and on, thanks to Tom. So this is just where I'm at now. There's been a lot of bends in the road as a writer. This one's called Coloring the Gongs, for Ann Waldman. It's in the form of a letter, and I should say Isabella in the poem is my daughter, who's 4. And Isabella has been pencil coloring the gongs in my copy of your structure of the world compared to a bubble. She colored the gongs in the lower left-hand quadrant of the diamond world yellow. That was all she did with that page. She colored more gongs, some red, some blue. The red ones were aspiring action. The blue, ritzy coastal areas and urban abandoned houses. She was coloring the gongs black when no one said death is part of love, part of relationship, part of empty throne, part of helpful dream. The inherent nature of all phenomena is pure, light hanging on cracking branch over the abyss that sounds like awe, letting go beyond all the jealous hell gods, all the weariness of wanting anything. She colored the gongs green while someone was releasing classified military information. Someone was saying the source of pink oil barrels. Countries is the march of Armageddon's caught in the 10,000 hands made visible to save the world. She colored the gongs white, empty of manipulation, empty of too much industrial information, never enough wrathful deities, never enough first arisings, never enough strange liberties, in whom the hopes of the world are joined. Those passages about fables of identity being only a representation that interrupts itself. She was sent as a messenger to the fur-covered human female living at the center of the universe. One of her duties was to combat the slave trade. Left on an uninhabited planet with only the supplies she could carry, her ordeal was shishing among worlds, losing all she possessed each time. I'll be reading for the first time in forever at St. Mark's Poetry Project in May. And I'll be reading with a poet named Sam Abrams from Rochester, New York. And Sam recently sent me a photograph from the old days and said, make me a poem of that. So I thought I would. When is that reading? May 2nd. And so this is that, whatever that is. It's just looking at a photograph of poets when they were young, when they had kids, when they were lost. So it doesn't seem possible, actually, these poets were ever lost. And still they had remarkable careers to come, but they look like, they were totally up for that, and they did it. So this is about that then. The Great News Desk in the Sky for Sam Abrams. I'm walking to work down Back Street Alley, snow falling on my black umbrella, mountains veiled in clouds. Somewhere, mass quantities of hash are exchanged for a dirty bomb. But here, under the brown telephone pole, it is morning, and I pull from my coat pocket a photo Sam gave me, taken on front stoop of Amiri Baraka's parents' house, East Orange, New Jersey, summer 1959. There's Jones, Max Feinstein, Tony Weinberger, Rena Oppenheimer holding Danielle, Hetty Jones holding Kelly, Joel Oppenheimer holding Nicholas, Elias Padros, Elsene Sorrentino, Gil and Jesse Sorrentino, Sam Abrams and Roy's mother Anna, behind a pillar. What the hell were they thinking? Shoes so thin you could feel a nickel or a dime. I passed beneath red and green Japanese lanterns blinking on and off above a porch. The world will have to put up with another round of bizarre foreign policy pronouncements. Sled in a puddle, middle of the living room, child upstairs wearing her mother's camisole. Was it worth dragging so many nations through stupidity and disgrace? What had they written that day? Where's it now? There is only a land that resembles death. It is not infinitely beyond the green edge of yesterday. It is an ephemeral journey, the same as life and its intelligence networks. I walk beneath the 100-year-old cottonwood, its branches heavy with silence that buries a house in shimmering light. How had they tried to make themselves exist? What were they reading? Which among them was freaking out? Stopping again under bare apple tree, I blow a few scattered flakes off the image before placing it back inside my coat. It makes me remember your silken hair, yours of gold, and mine of turquoise. if anybody's ever been married here, but I've been married twice and divorced twice. I never thought that would happen. But I'm in post-marriage counseling with my second beloved wife, ex-wife, Suzanne, who's flying back tonight from Brazil, where she saw an Aerosmith concert outside the 15th story of the hospital window where her sister had had a massive stroke and was being looked after. So,
can't step in the same marriage twice.
This is, so we went into therapy after 3 years of divorce. So this is called Watching What Comes Up. And the he in here is the therapist. He appeared as a devil, gods in retreat, no blame, no pathopoeia, no fear of being alone. Fooling around with this and that, him and her, all that which is neither this and that, nor him and her. The forms of love dissolve into emptiness, the 11th earth. Woe to the recipient of emotional reactivity, our child, shutting down passion, a mudra of shutting out the human realm, mudra of I should know better, signs of empire for naught, signs of subservience for naught. Go, gentle critical mind, into all these interruptions of identity. Selfish be to keep the hearts wide open eternity. Couple more new poems. This is called Humanity is Zero, Its Honor Indivisible. And of course, you never know what to prepare for a reading, so you imagine thousands of people showing up, and so this isn't meant to be bombastic in any way. It's meant for each of you particularly. O people of the earth, viciousness is weakness. Anyone can be impressed with handiworks of cunning. Anyone can be outraged over superpower invasions. Anyone with a strain of ruthlessness can cause a society to fracture. Vexation and exhaustion operates upon all. I tell you, none escape complicity. Anyone can have a list of enemies. Anyone can write a massive handbook of global insurgency. Anyone may learn how to discredit opponents, ambush them, but who can establish bases of loving in every country? Who will say no person requires brutal measures? Who speaks of the power that comes into our possession in a simple and natural way? Dark spectacle of implicated civilians, traitors and spies, cabinet ministers and top officials conducting televised purges, weapons providers, homegrown arsenalists, popular militias, loyal clansmen, ethnic sectarians, religious faction fighters. Anyone can be classified infidel, criminal, psychotic, occupier. Anyone can shock the world with media humiliation and appall. Competing faiths, competing field marshals, competing shops and eateries, competing hysteria, competing mass arrest, competing ceasefire breakers, tellers of heroic military accomplishments unaccomplished. Instead of heavily exhibitionistic death performances? Why don't suicide bombers and soldiers alike explode poems that awaken hearts, bear witness to the vast consciousness within each holy heart? I'll read one more short poem. Unknown company. You, my unknown company, full of natural sympathy, filling the room with light. The rose in the beer bottle, the filthy curtains, beautiful as they are, in the distinguished sanctity of tears, those gifts from the hidden masters in the heart of the void. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim and Reed, and all the open readers. We had a lot of great open readers tonight, and thank you, Dylan, for filming this. You can watch this at www.myspace.com/WTWAB. Don't forget to tip your baristas on the way out. Fern, who's your fellow barista tonight? Megan. So let's hear it for Fern and Megan, your baristas, and everyone for coming. Send your prayers out to the people in Virginia and Tyler's mom and all the pets that passed away in the recent, poisoning. My cat died through this poisoning of pet food poisoning, and they were announcing on TV for weeks that 16 pets died nationwide, but it's more like 16 pets in every town, died, and there was rat poison and some other stuff in the wheat gluten that came over from China, and all these pets, their kidneys shut down, and it takes like 2 months before they die after that, but they can hardly eat for the last 2 months of their life. All they do is drink water and pee and die. So, beware of all the pet foods in the world. So, good night, everyone. We'll see you next week. Same time, same channel.